Here we are celebrating another championship. Yet another. Pretty good feeling. Pretty good feeling. Jordan's not with me at the moment. Maybe I should put his yeah, there we go. We got NFT Jordan in the house, as the real Jordan may not be able to make it. We will see if he's able to. But for now, his Ultra 8K presence will be felt. I'm so happy about this. I'm so happy about today. I busted out the old jersey. I don't know if you guys see us. I busted out the old jersey just to celebrate, just to be on the I've been here vibe, because this day has been a long time coming. No, you guys will probably remember winning a couple majors in 2019 and then falling against Simp and E United in the grand finals. We did not fall to Simp this time. It's good. We got a lot of stuff that we'll do tonight. We'll run through a bunch of social media. I'll give my impressions. We'll do some call-ins. It should be a good time. And not to mention, beating Cloud9 in LCS as a little nice cherry on the cupcake for today. So everybody's feeling good. Thank you so much for the sub. I'm gifting one over to BC, a real one. Yeah, big day of dubs. I agree, Amax. So honestly, we're just here to hang. Just here to hang. Sen is gifting 5. Thank you very much, Sen. Sen is in it. Oh, but the notification is doing some weird stuff. I'll have to fix that in the bottom. But Kimmy, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What do you guys want to do first? Should we jump into these calls? Let's jump into the calls first. Just because I know like there are, a couple of people waiting to do this. I don't want to make you guys sit around forever. I think what we'll do first is head over to Plant, aka Sen, aka 100 Thieves fan, who has been itching to do a call-in show like this with us for a while. So let me jump into voice chat here. Give me a second, guys. And I'll just make sure he's ready to go. And we will get starting on that. Good to see everybody here. All right. Let us loop your boy Sen into the chat. There he is. Sen, how are you feeling today, man?
Oh, it feels great.
You've been wanting to talk for a while.
Oh yeah, I missed this show so much. We were playing. I think the last time we played was when we were in kind of a slump.
Yeah.
Now we're back with the win, and I'm here. So it feels great for sure.
Yeah, I think you did the Talk Trio show with us. For those who remember that, where we actually like play Warzone as a trio while we do this. That was a lot of fun. But Sen was among the few brave and bold ones that were willing to do it. So you know what it is. All right, Sen, where do you want to go first with this conversation, man? Like, do you just want to talk about how it feels, or do you have takes, or what? What's going on?
I mean, I can just already say it feels great because I was in Major 4, in person, seeing them win the first trophy, and then seeing them. I was actually driving from upstate Boston or upstate Massachusetts from a family thing, so I was coming back. I was driving.
That's minute today it hit you were doing
PM, that? Yeah. So
yeah.
the minute it hit 3 p.m. ET, I turned it on the car, and I think I heard the first match. In the car, and we won the first hard point.
Yeah.
So I was really happy about that. So I came in, rushed in, dropped all my things off from the car, and then I went straight to watching all the games. And then the first 4 maps, beautiful. And then the minute I saw like Tim the Tatman's tweet, I was like,
okay.
I started losing it. And then we obviously did not win that Berlin. I think it was Control, and then. We lost something else.
He was trying so hard to curse us. There's just no way. Here, I'll even bring this up. I came equipped tonight, by the way. Okay. I came production equipped. Here we go. Here's the tweet. from Tim the Tab Man at LA Thieves 5-0. That was after the 4th map win.
Yeah. The minute I saw that,
Look at Hudson.
and then I kind of like thought back to the time. I think it was New York. I think, or no, it was Empire. Empire had a 4-0 start, and then FaZe took it after that. So I kind of had that.
So they
flashback.
already had a throw. I didn't see. I was trying to remember if there had been a throw that bad before, and I was like, surely it won't be us. Surely it won't be us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Empire. Someone can correct me, but no, I'm definitely happy with the win. My only take is that Vanguard was such a weird Call of Duty to watch because it played horrible. It was really fun to watch though.
Yeah.
And there were so many issues with the game itself. I can see where people would say this was like a Mickey Mouse, but at the end of the day, we definitely patched up all the issues that we had from Major 1 all the way up to the champs, and we did we didn't know roster changes. So we were the only team to do no roster changes, and the fact that we did it with a role swap, I think it was great.
Yeah, the role swap being Kenny switching over to SMG, right?
Yeah.
And he seemed pretty happy about that after the New York major. And then carried that momentum straight in. That's the thing about this that was kind of crazy was how dominant we were. I mean, like, yeah, we dropped 2 maps to FaZe, and a couple of the maps we won were pretty close, right? Like those hard points were no joke, right? But other than that, man, we were basically smoking people all weekend.
Yeah.
We 58 points given to Optic on the Gavuto hard point. 71 to FaZe the first time we played him. Goodness gracious, man. I don't even know where this came from. But
I think Shane had to do a lot with it as well. Him coming in and as a second coach. Because I think, like, I know a lot of people, including myself, had a lot of criticism about JKap and what is he doing. Like, as a fan, when you're seeing your team lose, it's you're gonna feel bad, so you're gonna try to have a scapegoat. And JKap was probably the number one scapegoat of this team.
Yeah.
But I think he just needed some help, right? Because without an S&D coach, you really can't teach everyone all the modes properly without someone who's dedicated to one mode, maybe. So I think Shaden was definitely a great help, and I think the way they brought it back from perfecting the S&Ds, because we were dominant in S&D this whole tournament and Major 4,
right? And we were doo-doo before Shane, so
yeah. So definitely, like, that's because I think it was the first game against FaZe. It was like, if they didn't win that S&D, I don't think they would have won that match.
Yeah, it was a real momentum shifter.
Yeah,
it was dominant.
It shifts the momentum. So I think definitely Shane was the biggest factor. I think coming in, helping the team, go into their current shape. So
yeah, I think, like, probably no one is going to come out of this with a bigger career buff than Shane, probably.
Right.
Which is good for him. I mean, he worked hard. Right. I think, like, JKap and Muddawg, I'll probably talk about this later, but JKap and Muddawg were under a lot of fire for a long time. Basically full, like, a season and a half. Those dudes were under fire. And so they come out redeemed as well. And I'm really happy about that, because especially Muddawg, like, I just know that he cares so much and works so hard, and I feel happy to see him pull this off. So did you how are you feeling when FaZe started to bring it back a little bit? They won 2 maps, and then for a bit in the SND, in my opinion, it was a little dicey.
Yeah, so I DM'd someone that they were losing steam probably at the end of. I need the map pools in my face again, because I forgot exactly what the order was.
Okay, I'll pull it up. What, after which one?
We won steam.
So first was Gavutu Hardpoint. We won Berlin, SND, Gavutu Control, Tuscan Hardpoint. And then it was the Bocage where we dropped 6-1 to them.
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
Berlin
they were.
Control after that.
Yeah, I think they were losing steam at Tuscan, for a bit. But they were losing a lot of the gunfights. Towards the end,
it started to turn a bit. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
I noticed that like Abizi was starting to win a lot, and our cities even was starting to win a lot.
Right. So I saw that shift. So I was kind of concerned, and then I know Bocage is not our strongest suit, strongest map. So I kind of had that if it went to S&D, or if to that map for S&D, then we would probably not win. Maybe we can still bring it close because we were pretty good in form. But I think what was the map after Bocage? It was Berlin Control, right? I thought we would win Berlin Control.
Everyone probably did, right?
Yeah,
like we've been so dominant on that mode and that map, and then it just got weird.
There's the thing though. That's where I think FaZe is kind of not underrated, but that's what they're known for because they're pretty consistent. They always get to at least top 4. I mean, they went 2-2-2-3-2 again, and I think a lot of that has to do with the coach as well. Crowder's a great coach, so I know he definitely did some VOD reviews for Berlin. So maybe that has something to do with it, right?
Yeah.
But when it went to Tuscan S&D, when I saw the stat line, I thought they can bring it up, but then at the start of it, I thought they weren't doing too well. But I think the way they were reading FaZe was, how they got it to the end point, going to round 11.
Yeah.
Because the way that Selim was setting up was like he was trying to be that anchor for one side, and the rest were trying to get the fights in mid.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So they read it really well. So I wasn't too confident in S&D, but it was actually really fun to watch because that's when you don't expect it the most and they win. That's like the best feeling.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It really was. I thought that map was lost, honestly. The last one, the S&D. So I was like, all right, it's about to be 4-3. I don't know what happens from this point. But yeah, it just seemed like we won with our brains. Like even when most of this tournament, we were just better. Like the guns were on, whatever. But during this one, it just seemed like we won with our brains just as much. So it was a good feeling. All right, Sen, anything else you want to bring up or talk about before I move on to, I think we're going to have Crockpot in here next.
No, I'm all good. Thank you for having me though.
Yeah, for sure. And it's I appreciate you always pushing for us to do some Call of Duty stuff because, we love to do it. And I like that we have a great excuse now. So thanks for being here. You're a real one.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
All right, you too. All right, so we'll say goodbye to Sen here. And coming in hot is Crockpot. Now, let me tell you something about Crockpot. Crockpot's name in the Discord right now is 100T will dominate worlds. And he is not shying away from that take whatsoever. And so I know that this guy is bold. I know that this guy, he's in it to win it. So Crockpot, what's up? How are you feeling?
Dude, I am definitely in it to win it. I'm all in on 100 Thieves as an org. I'm feeling unstoppable right now.
There we go. It was a good day for that kind of feeling for sure.
Yeah.
Now you had a take. I think that was blending LCS and Call of Duty, if I remember. Right, yeah.
Yes, there is a take. Honestly, I didn't know this was going to happen. I was hoping you'd do it on Monday's show, but I'll say it now. I think 100 Thieves now has enough championship aura to have 2 good teams.
Look at that. Are we breaking the curse? Let's look at the facts here. We have a long and storied history of the org where if one team is winning, the rest seem to struggle, right? And it seemed to be this trade-off for the longest time, whether it's between our LCS squad and our Valorant squad, or our Call of Duty squad and our LCS squad. But we have this weekend winning COD champs and having a 2-0 in LCS while we, I believe we tied for first place with EG, right?
We are now
with our
tied for
win.
first place with EG. Yes.
And I know today here you can tell me what you think, Crockpot, of how much of this is plays into what you're saying. But we did have a Valorant loss today. We're not out all the way from the LCQ. We still got the lower run, but we did lose in Valorant. So what are you thinking? We think we can support 2 teams? We got enough aura for 2 teams and not 3?
I think so. I think we definitely have enough championship aura for 2 teams, not 3 at the moment. But there was an interesting interview, actually, after COD Champs Nadeshot did with someone. I don't know who it was. It was on Twitter. I watched it. But it kind of explained how Nadeshot is just putting more trust in
so that
not
was with
switching
MRags.
rosters.
Right, that was with MRags from Barstool. I'll play that here a little bit later. I've got that pulled up to go over, so we'll be doing that for sure. But yeah, he was talking about that trust. I mean, you got to figure some of those rough LCS years kind of helped them develop that trust. Yeah,
You would think. But I honestly think it started when Papa Smithy kind of took over.
And the adult in the room.
Right. Exactly. Like what's the motto? Trust the Papa.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just another thing for trust the process and how it's supposed to go. And it really even comes back to that interview where I think it was JKap told Nadeshot or whoever I don't know who the coach is. I don't know. I don't keep up with COD that much, but he's like, if I can't get this team to win, I don't deserve to be your coach or something.
Yeah, let's talk about Muddawg, the GM. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Muddawg. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just all about trusting the process. And
if you remember, actually, all the way back to the Prawley days of LCS, Prawley basically said the same thing about the first LCS roster. He said, if you get me this group of guys, I need to be able to get it to Worlds, and he did.
He did do that. You're absolutely right. Now that was it feels like such a long time ago.
It does. It does. And that was there were a few twisted turns in that story as well, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But now we have so let's say that this is dominating Worlds of Call of Duty.
Okay.
Are you still feeling good about dominating Worlds of League of Legends?
As of today, yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
EG does not look great. I'll say that. They did not look great today. TO absolutely gave them the backhand. And I mean, we look top form. Honestly, we look unstoppable. I would be surprised if we drop a game in playoffs.
Woo! That's another bold prediction. I like this guy. All right, so maybe you need to update that in our Discord. Update your name to include something about that. So 100 Thieves will dominate Worlds after not dropping a single game in playoffs. It's a little bit long of a username, but
it's
we'll
a little
figure it
long.
out.
Yeah. I'll figure something out. Yeah.
All right, Crockpot. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Nah, just run it up. Global and
there we
shout
go.
out boys.
Run it up.
There we go. Shout out John Robinson. Yeah. All right, cool, man. Thanks for calling. We'll see you later.
Yeah, take it easy.
All right. I love that guy. Let's here's what we'll do. We've got a caller. I'll bring in Will here in a minute, and then we'll take a look at some of the things that we've already referenced, some of the social posts and the videos and the interviews, and while we're doing that, we'll stack up some more callers and keep this hype train rolling. Before I bring in Will, though, I do have to mention I'm celebrating with the best drink on the market here. Citrus X. Rip It Citrus X. Of course, we are powered by Rip It and Elgato. Shout out Elgato for the lights and the capture gear. But I got to do my quick ASMR moment. All right, you guys ready? Tastes like a dub. Tastes like a dub. All right, let's get Will in here. Will, are you with me, my friend? There we go. We're coming online. You're kind of glitching a tiny bit. So why don't you give me one more test with your mic?
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now. What's up?
I'm doing well. Obviously ecstatic about the win.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you get to watch the full series?
Yeah, watched all 7 maps. Yeah.
Yeah. And describe how you're feeling after the first 4 maps.
Like, still kind of nervy just because I think the theme for that Atlanta team, I mean, it even happened this weekend when they played Seattle Surge. They just have there's this feeling that they can just kind of like flip a switch whenever they want.
Yes.
And they're just right back in the game. Like, you felt like you were dominating, and then all of a sudden you're losing by like 100 and a hard point, or you're getting reverse swept in control. That team is so like well-rounded and good, and they just never feel out of a series. So like, felt good. Like, it would be shocked. I was like, I'd be shocked if we lost at this point, but still nervous just because of what that team can do.
Yeah, I feel you. So actually, I don't know if my brother's still in chat, but something I texted my brother yesterday was that I felt like we did not get the real Simp and Arcides when we played them in the first round. Or, well, not the first round, but the first time we played FaZe. And I was like, if those dudes play like they normally play, like, this could get hairy, right? Because we definitely didn't see that in the first series. And in the second series, it was like a really mixed bag. I think mostly Simp didn't show up. But Arcides, he obviously had like 2 1v3s in S&D, which is unbelievable. And then I thought he just played a lot better overall. He didn't have like a flawless day or whatever, but he certainly was better than he was on Saturday.
Yeah, no, they definitely started showing up a little, especially Arcides. He's gotten a lot of criticism this year. He's sort of been like what that team views him as is sort of this like rock. This like when they're down, they're the one they rely on. So he started to show that a little bit in that game. And so after losing that, I saw the map for that, the map 5 Bocage. I was like, I feel like this is a map we usually get out of our rotation most times. So I wasn't like too shocked we lost it. Still like disappointed, but I was like, it makes sense just kind of based on how we've played that map the entire year.
Yeah, I think like I don't know if we actually said it earlier when we were talking about it, but I think everybody kind of felt like, yeah, whatever, if we lose that map, we lose that map and it doesn't even matter. I expected to lose it. I didn't expect to get slammed that bad though, but it was like a 6. Was it 6-1 or 6-2 that we lost? I think it was 6-1.
6-1.
And that kind of hurt. I did want to bring up this Arcides tweet. I don't know if you're looking on screen, but Arcides tweeted this earlier. He was basically just tweeting his relief that the game is done, that they're not playing Vanguard anymore.
Yeah.
And in fact, before I go through this one, let's look at this one. So yeah, he said, "This year took a toll on me. Appreciate the real ones who noticed and messaged me. I love y'all. I'll be back to my old self." So I think, like you were alluding to, he's clearly not feeling like he delivered on the same level that they're used to depending on him for. And then he was talking about when he was relieved to be done. It's like with the PCs in the game, if you looked at the ground and had doors or breakable walls in your field of vision, you can see through them like they were open. You can see every cross on Berlin. God bless, this game is done. And it's just like, I love that because on one hand, he's showing his relief to be like, okay, we don't have to ever play that game again. And then at the same time, he's like pulling the curtains back on some of the stuff they're doing. And then right here in the replies is Octane saying, "I was doing it on Siege for 5 months."
Yeah. I mean, I think in that same vein, I think Abizi has an even funnier one that he got off right after. Yeah. Right after that series was over, if you can find it.
Yeah, I think I pulled it. Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I'll show this on screen. This isn't one that I'll read though. But yeah, Abizi, I thought he was like the rock for today for them. I thought Abizi even made more of a difference than Celium did. You see in the comments I was saying you were beaming because I thought Abizi really was like the one reliable person for them for both series, to be honest.
Yeah, he was definitely. I think he was their best player across the 2 series that we played him against. That we played against them in this weekend. Just, I mean, watching him in Search and Destroys, he feels like he's on a different level in that game mode ever since. I mean, I can't really think back to MW all as much, but I mean, there's some moments in Cold War where it's just like, oh, he is the server. He does whatever he wants. He gets every kill. He just you cannot stop that guy. So he definitely felt like their best player this weekend.
Yeah. So I'll mention it because I was really surprised about Simp. You know, I've historically been super high on Simp. I've thought he's, you know, across the past few years been the single best player in the game. And that one hardpoint map, he was 6-22 against us. And I just feel like if we're getting that, there's no way we're losing.
Yeah, I think that's the worst game I've ever seen him. I think that's probably by far the worst game anyone's ever seen him play, like ever. So I mean, to get that just shows how good the team was playing in that series this weekend. When you're able to shut down a guy who's an MVP candidate every year, it feels like, you know, you feel pretty good about your chances.
Yeah, for sure. What about on our side? Who are you? I mean, Kenny got MVP I think they called it postseason MVP or something. So I guess it's an award for the whole champs tournament.
Yeah, for champs and playoffs, Kenny got that MVP award.
Yeah. So how are you feeling about that? Do you think he was the standout player? Do you have some other thoughts along those lines?
I mean, I was looking at they flashed the KDs across the champ series, and I was like, not really anyone sticking out here. I think after that S&D map, I thought Envoy would get it. Just he kind of like single-handedly won us that Game 7 Search and Destroy on Tuscan.
Yeah.
The 2v1, the 1v2 that he won to keep us in it, and then I think he gets the final kill or the second to last kill in the final round, round 11. So I think. But I mean, I think you could have had your pick. Honestly, I think everyone showed up at different times in this event. So, but I mean, I'm happy Kenny won it. Kenny's my favorite player. He's the reason I have any interest in Call of Duty. I started watching him in World War II.
Oh, cool.
So to see sort of the career trajectory, because I mean, he was Simp before Simp. I mean, he was
right.
Sort of, after that World War II season, it felt like he was going to be in that MVP conversation every year, and he turned it on at the end of Black Ops 4 and was very crucial in them winning back-to-back championships that year. And then MW Cold War obviously wasn't the same player, or at least I would say he wasn't the same player.
Yeah,
so
he even said he wasn't the same player. Yeah.
So to see him sort of this resurgence he's had, especially these past couple events, and to see him slowly and surely have to finally be what I think everyone thinks and knows he can be, I think it is really cool just to see him back.
Yeah, and again, I think deserving. Steady was pointing out in chat that Envoy from this series would have been his MVP, and it's hard to dispute that too. Envoy made so many like super critical reads and super critical plays. And I think I wouldn't have a problem with that in terms of like a finals MVP kind of deal, you know. But this was for the full postseason. I feel like it went to the right guy.
Yeah, again, I think you could have your argument for any of the 4 players. If hearing the comms, hearing what Octane does there, just so calm, composed. They very the clear vocal leader in that regard. I think you can point towards what he did this weekend. Drazah had his moments as well. Obviously, Kenny wins it, and Envoy also has his. So there's an argument there for each of the 4 guys.
Yeah, and I'll probably never shut up about that play against Ultra that Kenny pulled in Tuscan Hardpoint Game 1, where he got like the most insane turn on Bance. Bance was like, I think on the ground. And somehow Kenny was able to turn and fry him. Then he moves forward and gets a kill, and then Cammy comes to trade it out, and he broke Cammy's ankle so hard and gets another kill and just like single-handedly won us the hard point right there. I'll always remember that play, man. That's one of those plays I'll always remember.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of a play from World War II where he breaks into the hill. It's like 245, 245. He breaks into the hill, wipes the entire team. TK wins. I think it's kind of reminiscent of that sort of play where we were talking about Kenny as the best player in the game, like without a doubt.
Yeah. So glad to have him just really turn it on when it mattered. I mean, he definitely just like found the form and
yeah.
Whew,
and
that
he
feels
has
good.
he has a streak going of whenever he does win events, he always wins back-to-back events. So
Is that true? I didn't know that.
He did it in World War II. He won the opening 2 events of that year, obviously in Black Ops 4, London and Anaheim,
London,
and now
Anaheim.
this year with Major Foreign Champs.
That's sick, man. That's kind of a pretty cool like little asterisk sab by all your stuff, you know. So
yeah,
awesome. All right, well, anything else you wanted to chat about before we say goodbye?
No, I got all my Kenny praise out. That's
what's up. Yeah, I keep telling Jordan, I think we're gonna at some point have to do like a top 10 greatest COD players for 100 Thieves, you know, top 10 greatest LCS players for 100 Thieves. And I gotta say, like, it's gonna be hard for me to put anyone above Kenny if we ever do that. So yeah. All right, well, thanks for calling in, man.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Take care.
You too.
All right. So actually, we do have a couple more callers right now. So I'll put on hold some of that social stuff that we'll go through because I want to make sure I don't keep people waiting in the waiting room for too long. So we will invite in the guy who I always on Twitter would just read your name as Capri Sun. Every single time I would just say Capri Sun in my head.
That's what it's supposed to be. That was what was intended. But when I first made my League of Legends account, I actually misclicked the A into an S, and
okay.
I just kept doing it ever since. Yeah.
Well, how fitting, because then you play League of Legends and you're in CS prison as a new player, you know. So I think it all works out. Well, welcome. And we had wasn't there like a specific comment you made in chat and I was like, hey, let's talk about this?
Oh yeah, the fact that LA Thieves, I mean, they stuck with Drazah, this guy who was brought on to Optic LA as a replacement. I think it was for Dashy because Dashy didn't want to play, and they bring him on from challenge. They bring him on from challengers, and his ability, the relationship he has with Kenny, I just think is really special between teammates.
Yeah,
he really, Kenny really brought him under his wing, and ever since then, he's just been frying. I mean, there's a reason why Drazah's on the team and Venom is not on the team anymore.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and the thing that is special about Drazah, in my opinion, is that his ability to play with confidence. Once he gets hot, he can gun anyone. He has the gunny, and he just has the confidence to take any chow. And I just love it.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. So, and it's kind of like always been that way. Like it almost felt like a fake it till you make it situation where even before it really felt like, yeah, he can lock in and do it whenever he gets hot. You could kind of see it coming because he acted like he was there already, even when he was brand new. And I think
that's what I love.
Yeah. I think that's special, right? Like you don't get a lot of people like that who have that attitude and have skill to back it up, And to your Venom point, I think Venom clearly had a lot of skill, and he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had like some pretty good success with amateur, right? And then
he's consistently placing well in challengers.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking League of Legends, challengers, and then and he's got his skill is like fine, but it just didn't seem like he was at home when he played with us. Like it didn't seem like it fit for him. Maybe a confidence issue, right?
Right. And just to go back to the point about Drazah and Kenny, they just feed off of each other so well. And a player like Kenny needs the right pieces around him to play Kenny COD. the reason why he wasn't winning on these past teams is because he was not in a position where he could play his kind of COD. He thought he needed to change it up to support these other players that he was on the team with. But the roster he's on now allow him to play the way Kenny should play. And I think that's just really that makes me really excited for the future of LA Thieves.
Yeah, I think like in other esports, it's easier to see when fit is an issue, right? Because like, you know, you like, especially if you're talking about League of Legends, you know, obviously there are different players that play the different roles, and they play the different roles with the different play styles. And it sticks out more when it works or doesn't work, right? And you can kind of classify players more easily. I don't think that's as apparent in Call of Duty. So when you're someone like me who likes the game but is stupid about the game, it's not immediately apparent to like why does this pairing work and this pairing doesn't. Drazah though, back when we were still doing talk trios with more frequency and talking about LA Thieves, I had no great explanation for why I felt like Drazah should still be staying on the team. And, you know, I felt that way basically his entire time. And Jordan would ask me about it, and I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like he's the right person. Yeah. And like he's young and he's moldable in the right way, but still believes he can go out there and kill people. So yeah, I'm like really glad that was the decision, because, you know, it was looking real dark for a while there, and Drazah seemed like an easy target to be, you know, all right, let's make a move here.
He's the first one because he's not as proven as the others.
Yeah, it's nameplates. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And if you think back to it, what was stopping LA from having Octane, Slasher, Envoy, and Kenny? They had Slasher already signed, and he played at Champs with them.
Yeah.
But they picked Drazah to be their AR.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I guess he played SMG for that.
He played SMG. Yep.
He did.
Yeah.
So I guess that doesn't exactly, but
no, there was still a big question, and I don't think Slasher even took it well. You know, my memories of it was he was basically done for a while. You know, so
he was very offended by that.
Yeah, well, he does have that kind of attitude about him, but fortunately, it seems like
this one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we came out on top on that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about Kenny, but Kenny really reminds me of, to make a parallel to like a tradition in the sport, he really reminds me of Russell Wilson in a way that he, no matter where, I'm a Seahawks fan, so this may be a little biased, but Russell Wilson's always going to be putting up numbers no matter who he has on his team. He's going to have a good season, and that's the same with Kenny. But when he has those people on his team, he can take it. He can take it there, and
he can become Mr. Unlimited.
Yes.
Oh, no, but Russell Wilson, corn dog, man.
Yeah, no,
go Broncos.
I don't know. Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah. No joke. So I've got this green screen behind me. I did one of those and sent it to my friend too. I was like, Thieves Nation,
really?
Let's ride.
Should have posted that on
I probably should have, but
would have done numbers.
Yeah, I probably would have. Oh man. Do you want to?
Can you believe the LCS team and the CDL team went on the same day?
We're bucking convention here, man. That's why Crockpot was on here screaming about this. By the way, Crockpot, I want to bring this back up because I mentioned that he should change his name to kind of reflect where he was at with his 0 losses in LCS playoffs. So now he is now called in our Discord 0 loss LCS playoffs soon worlds. So mad respect to Crockpot. But yeah, it's and especially against C9, right? C9 historically they've been very difficult for us to handle. It's always a tough match. Though,
especially regular season, I'd say.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like the most surprising thing is over the last year and a half, we actually have come out on top like a lot against them. But they still feel like this kind of bugaboo for us, right? Like they still feel like every time I'm like, well, in fact, I think I predicted a loss this weekend against them. Just because it's just
I just
their
think
C9.
those. Yeah, but right now that LCS team is playing with the same confidence that reminiscent of when they won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Was it last summer?
Yep, summer 2021.
Yeah. So that's really nice.
And
to see.
hey, maybe we've got instead of championship aura between LA Thieves and whatever other 100 Thieves esports. Now we're moving on to a rising tide lifts all boats situation, right? Where now honestly, like, people aren't going to want to hear this, like, outside of 100 Thieves, but 100 Thieves is starting to, like, if you really look at it and are honest with it, they have a pretty good winning culture established so far. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, the Hoodie Org days are, like, so far behind us.
Yeah, those are over. I mean, you have Apex placing third. I don't know how the Fortnite scene's going still, but for almost like 2 years, their Fortnite team was winning everything.
They were like best in NA,
now,
yeah.
Yep. And now, I mean, LCS, they finally won a split, and they're
2 straight finals, probably another one right now. Yeah, and maybe win in these finals.
I sure hope so. EG lost today, right, to TL?
They did. So we're tied for first with them.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, right. And so it's like we're getting good. Well, they are not. And we have 100 Thieves Valorant. We've still got to put the puzzle pieces in place for that. We're not in a good spot odds-wise there.
Yeah, and I think they'll be, I don't know, after Nade's speech about patience with a team and seeing how it can work, and he's always been quick to pull the trigger. I could see him trying to let this team get some more time to develop, because I think there's a lot of good talent on this team, and I think it's not necessarily a fit issue. I think they could be good.
And I'll be quick on this because I want to make sure. Oh, and here's a air horn for Crockpot, by the way. I'll be quick on this because I don't want to, I don't want to take away from the LA Thieves conversation too much. But I will say, I think a more nuanced version of that take is maybe not just, I think Nadeshot will give them time. I think it's more like, I think Nadeshot will have trust in, like, the shot calling for, like, the staff for, like, roster building and the stats and, like, everything. I think they'll have trust in that, because if they suggest a change, I don't think they'll be hesitant to make the change. But I think they're careful with, when they recommend those changes. And things churned a bunch for a while, but I don't think that they churned because it was like, oh, I'm unhappy, get rid of that guy. Oh, I'm unhappy, get rid of that guy. I think it was like, look, we need to rebuild and retool this thing and find which pieces are foundational for us going forward. So I think the staff has demonstrated across esports that they're going to be patient and wise. And even when it doesn't come through, even when we don't win, like, we got smoked by EG in the finals in spring, right? For LCS.
Yep.
Even when we don't win, it's like we are right up there in position. And that's kind of
just great for just great for the culture, though.
Yeah, and so I think that's what we're getting used to as 100 Thieves fans, and that is sick, because this org has not been around for a long time. We're competing with other orgs that have been very established in this space for a very long time, and now here we are, the new kids, but we're already, like, winning. So hats off to them for sure. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to? Go ahead.
Yeah, the champs merch, I think, is going to be super nice.
I don't want to get my hopes too high up, but yeah, I feel like it's going to be sick. I'm just waiting.
I hope they just don't overdo it with the gold, but besides that, I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah.
All right. It was great talking to you, man.
Yeah, you too. I was just going to say, like, I had my championship white on for this pod, so maybe they'll go back to that and do something cool that way. But yeah, we'll see. All right, man. We'll say goodbye. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Thank you.
Later. OG, by the way, Capri Sun has been here, I don't know, a very long time. Maybe since, like, the first LCS season that we did, it feels like. So that's always fun to talk to him. All right, we're going to bring in yet another caller here. So everybody say hi to the guy with the Charmander, it looks like, in his Discord profile pic. We have Obey in here. Obey, what's up?
How's it going?
Oh, dude, I'm fantastic, and I trust you are the same right now. What's going through your mind with the dub?
Man, I lost my mind. I stood up. My girlfriend was like, "What the hell's going on?" I was losing my stuff. I've been a 100 Thieves fan since Black Ops 4. That's when I started watching professional Call of Duty.
Mhm.
So I saw all the OG guys: Slasher, Nabel, Priesta, Kenny, and Octane. Those are my main 5 guys. And as soon as I saw Octane join the LA Thieves squad, I was like, these guys can make a run. And then I saw Envoy. I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. I knew they was gonna they were gonna hop off right at the back because I knew it was Vanguard, so it's different. But man, I just after this one, like the Major 4, I was driving home from just a vacation with my girlfriend, and I had it on in the car while I was driving. I screamed, and she just lost her mind.
Well, so here's what I'll say. Dad tip: I don't recommend screaming in your girlfriend or wife's ears while this is happening, but I can surely understand it. I've done that myself. In fact, my kids even have noticed that sometimes I get very enthusiastic about cheering. So,
Yeah.
like when we went LCS last year, my kids were just like watching me watch it because they were so like they'd never seen me like that. I don't think so. It was really funny. It was really
That's
funny.
awesome.
I keep asking people this because I think this is very like interesting to hear. But what were you thinking once we won the 4th map?
The 4th map. Okay, well, as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, this will be interesting. And then I knew we had Berlin. I was like, okay, I mean, the guys can put up the numbers. We've done it before.
Mhm.
But I also know FaZe has been champs. They know what they do. This is not their first run as a champion. So I knew they were a force to be reckoned with. So I was like, okay. And I knew they're going to drop a few maps. I just knew it. I knew it was going to be a clean sweep. But I knew it was going to be a battle. And they pulled out. And yeah, we're champs. So
Yes, we're champs. That's all we really got to say. We're champs. We're champs.
Exactly.
It did. So I think like a younger 100 Talk Cole, like maybe like a year or 2 ago when we got to that four maps thing, I would have just felt like we're still going to lose. We're still going to find a way to lose. Watch.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you,
that's true, yeah.
even though it got dicey a little bit and that SND that FaZe turned on us was really bad. It was like, we got 4 more chances to beat them. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We're not going to drop that many maps in a row. Especially, do you know what one of the keys for me was when I was deciding like how I felt about our chances? It's been watching Octane. Have you see that guy's face while they're playing?
He's so calm and collected. Even when he's streaming, I watch him and he's just so calm. And I was like, how are you calm during this S&D? Like, I'd be sweating. Like, even when I play, like, online, I'm sweating. Like, my shirt is completely drenched in sweat. Just doing S&Ds. And I'm like, I need to calm down. But I can't believe they can just keep their composure doing this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and even... like the only time you see him really like get excited is like when the match is done. And even then, I think he's typically more reserved. Especially, I think it was after we secured grand finals. It might have been actually no. I'm tripping. It was when we won Major 4. You saw him just kind of sit in his chair, like the other guys were.
Just or whatever.
Yeah, he was just like taking it in for a second,
Yeah.
And I feel like
I mean,
it's age, right? It's got to be age.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
he's 24. And he's done this before, so it's like just I just won a major. This is how it feels to be back on top. Because I mean, he had 2 years on Seattle, and
those were dark days.
It was a dark day for. And I'm watching him. I'm like, I didn't watch the 2019 because the boys weren't in there yet. So I was like, whatever.
Mhm.
And then as soon as the 2021 season was announced and they were in, I was like, okay, let's watch some like older footage or whatever. And I see Octane. I'm like, okay, Octane and Nabel playing together.
Yeah.
And I see Enable doing kind of shit. I'm like, oh god. And then he eventually retires. So I was like, oh, I mean, I guess I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
But I was surprised Octane didn't retire after that. And I was like, as soon as I heard he was a free agent, I was like, after last year, it was interesting because that was a there were so many roster changes and stuff, and I knew I believe in JKap the whole time. Sometimes I was like,
Dude,
what the
good
hell
for
is he
you.
doing? But
I think like a lot
mean,
of us didn't know what to think. Like I didn't know what to think about JKap, especially because there's not typically a window into him, like on the behind the scenes content. Like he's on there,
Yeah.
but you don't like
Yeah.
really get to see him in action. You don't really get to hear what's on his mind. I'll tell you this, like
Exactly.
I have been told by people in the scene that like JKap's actually like savant level understanding of the game. And
Yeah.
he's just being disrespected. People don't understand how good he is and just attributing it to like nepotism with Matt or whatever. But like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, I'm told that this dude really is like super smart about the game and good at demonstrating that to other people. So I gotta say, you know, I had my doubts about JKap while we seem to be losing with pieces that we should be winning with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think the 2021 roster, it was just no stable factor. I know Kenny and Drazah were like little. Well, I know Kenny for sure was like a stable factor, but after they just keep switching guys around, I was like, okay. I mean, if we make champs, we make it. If not, we scratch it and do it next year.
Dude, I just call it the hook nuke, right? Because
Yeah.
it just seemed like that. I think the idea when we brought on Hook was like, this dude is like, we're basically going to reconfigure our franchise around Hook. Like this dude is insane. He was he the MVP, or he was at least like on the squad that won it all, you know? And it was just like,
Yeah, exactly.
he
was known to being Hook the Nuke, so he would have performed when he goes and plays. But
yeah,
when he played for us, it was just not.
It was still a nuke, but not in the right direction, right?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's like, yeah, the Hook nuke.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that just threw off the entire year, because it was like, well, how do we do this if our entire plan has gone to pot, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And the way that they stuck to their guns with, you know, which players they're betting on and the coach and Muddawg and everything is just, it's super impressive. So I think like I tried to make this point on Twitter where as fans, like this feels unbelievable. This is like incredible. We feel top of the world, you know, just imagine how they are feeling.
Oh, I mean, we heard Nadeshot after they went to go get drinks and stuff. They were getting screwed up tonight. So I mean, like, they deserve this. Like, what was it? After the 2021 season, I was obviously watching the flank, trying to piece together what's going on. And after I heard Slasher wasn't renewing his contract and then Octane was on the cards, I was like, I bet they're going for Octane just because he's a more stable factor and he's a good S&D guy. And he just picks apart teams. I mean, we've seen it. He finds a corner and just bam, bam, bam. He got 3 dead.
And the other thing about Octane that should not go unsaid is how much he loves 100 Thieves, right? Like he specifically loves 100 Thieves so much. Like he, you know, after the New York major, you know, he was tweeting about how special it feels for him to win 400 Thieves instead of like anywhere else, right? It's like winning is always special, but winning 400 Thieves feels different. You know, and it's like when you have someone like that who's so into the culture and is such like a good person to have around, like that is a big deal. That turns the tide on some of those conversations. It's like, which player do we go with, you know? And
yeah, exactly.
And he ended up filling a good need for a big need for us. And again, I think there's like, you just can't say it enough about the way that this team was arranged, because all of these guys that we have been extremely important at different times to the success of the team. You know, like they all have their individual talents and the ways that they play the game that have come in so clutch for us at different times. And when you can count on somebody from the team is going to step it up huge, like every time, that's 100%. A great place to be, you know? And I think, not to again go back into Valorant, but I think on the horizon for the Valorant team, if we stick with it, I think we've got that kind of situation coming up. So, you know, I hope that that's the way that 100 Thieves is thinking about these decisions, and it sounds like they are.
Yeah, they just gotta pick the pieces, set the foundation, and they just build up. That's all they gotta do, and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, man. So it feels good to finally bring home the big rings, right?
Oh, you have no idea. As soon as I saw them do it, I was just in disbelief. My girlfriend's like, you okay? I'm like, I'm about to cry right now because
Yeah.
I'm just so happy.
I feel you. I feel you.
Just seeing this, it's such a good thing for the organization. I'm just so happy for them.
Yeah. Man, they deserve this big time. So, all right. Anything else you want to bring up and bat around before we say goodbye?
Actually, just congrats on the podcast and everything. This is a great
Thanks, man.
community. I'm so glad I joined, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's really fun to do this, and I think like, you know, we have a pretty small but very active community, and
Yes.
it just feels like so good to share stuff like this with you all, because we've been through this journey together for so long now that it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it just feels like I have a group of people to share this with instead of just like calling Jordan or whatever, right? And so
Exactly.
so it's awesome.
We've been here since Nadeshot created the organization, and then just seeing how we got here today, and it's just phenomenal. I'm so happy for this organization.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for the call. We'll say goodbye. Enjoy the
you.
dub. And,
You as well.
and stay following the timeline, because I will still continue to retweet basically everything positive I see about the org for the next 48 hours or so. So enjoy that.
Trust me, I'm already on a spree right now.
There
so,
you go. There you go. You're gonna lock in the streak there. Good job.
Oh, always. All right.
All right, take care.
You as well.
All right. Fun caller. Thanks for calling in, Ope. All right. I think let's do another call. We've got excuse me. Woo, we've got Flesh Bear waiting to jump in here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then just a reminder to everybody who's in chat, if you want to call in and talk about anything, you know, like whether you have takes about stuff or predictions about what's going to happen in the future, or just like you're happy to say how happy you are to someone else who's a big fan, go ahead and call in. Just hop into our Discord here and drop your take in the LA Thieves topics channel and sit in the waiting room voice chat. We'll get to you. So with that said, let's bring in our boy Flesh Bear. First time caller, right?
I mean, I was on I won an MEP on Valorant, so I've been on the show before.
Yeah, right. So we've talked to you before, but this is the first time we've gotten to hear from you on your perspective on the 100 Thieves side of things, specifically taking home the dub today. How does it make you feel?
I feel great. Honestly, it's hard to believe, like, coming from the very beginning of the season.
Right? It's like the journey that the team has made from the beginning of the season to now is just really unbelievable. It just feels like, I don't know how. So let's ask you this: after Major 3, did you even think that like being top 3, top 4 was a possibility for this team?
I mean, I did, because I feel like at Major 3, that was Toronto, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so.
I think we had a good run there in that major, but we just kind of fell short. But like something had to give, man, because like we were like, after Kenny switched to the sub, like we were able to make plays, I feel like, as like a normal team would, whereas like when we had Drazah on sub, it was almost like we had 2 route men instead of like a Slayer and an entry.
Yeah. So
because like Drazah wanted to go on a crazy play, Envoy wanted to go on a crazy play, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, so the configuration was a little bit off. Pulling this up, so yeah, we beat Rocker in the first round 3-2. Then we got smoked by who else? Atlanta FaZe, 3-0 in the next one, and we were able to take down Optic to make it to elimination round 4, where we dropped to the Ultra 3-1. And you know, I don't know, I just, at that moment, I did not think that this was possible. I was just like, you know, we're halfway into the season. We're just gonna ride this thing out, and we'll see where we land. I didn't think we were gonna like miss out on champs or anything, but like it was pretty dark for a while. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree, but like the way that people were kind of calling for like roster changes and stuff, I mean, like when you look at the roster, like I understand that like some people might have been underperforming, but like how do you decide like when you look at all these players individually, you know the talent that they have. So like, how do you decide this piece is not fitting aside from like the sub switch to Drazah the AR?
Yeah, it's I think like when you know that things aren't working, you just want to point to a problem, you know? And we see such a limited amount of the picture since we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know, you know, like beyond very basic stats, we don't know statistically what's going on. I'm sure that they've got, you know, like when they brought on Tim from Oracle's Elixir, he's actually like stats for all the esports. He's not just doing like LCS. Was Shane brought in after that after Major 3? Is that when that was?
I think it was, because I think that's when a lot of people were trying to call for the switches. I'm not 100% sure, but
so let's take a look at this. It was May 26th that Shane came on board. And Major 3 was on June. So Shane came on right ahead of that. So I guess if you were seeing glimpse of it during the Ultra run, maybe, you know, maybe that had something to do with it. But
yeah, I mean, like for me, like I've been watching since Black Ops 4. I really wanted Kenny to win one and Octane to win one just because of what happened in Black Ops 4, where they got second place against,
oh my gosh,
you know,
United,
BZ Simp and RCDs. But I have something I want to talk about for Envoy.
Sure.
Is that I'm really excited for him, because after he was on Optic and they switched from 5 to 4, it seemed like people are kind of like throwing dirt on his name, saying like he's only good in 5s because you have that flex to like pick up whatever you don't get.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so awesome to see that he's able to succeed in a four-man league when, you know, it just seems so much harder for him because he was playing kind of like a different style.
Yeah. Do you think there was anything in particular that made a difference for him coming in with us, like to kind of turn the corner?
Well, I think maybe not playing like you got to think he was playing with like Formal and Scump. Like those two are like legends in the COD community.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's playing with Kenny, someone who he played with before. Like I saw the pictures on Twitter. I think Envoy's dad posted, and you know, like these are all like equal people. I mean, you might say like Octane has more like more of a pedigree than like the rest of the team, but like they're all equals, you know.
That's a cool thought. There's not, I don't know. I think people still see Drazah maybe as a little bit lesser, maybe because of the youth, maybe because he's got, you know, he's maybe a little rough around the edges with some of the other pros, you know? Yeah. But I think like functionally that's right on. Like I doubt they treat each other that way. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure this is like a team of equals on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because I don't know. It's almost like if that's not the case, there's an additional quote like role to play within the team, because it's like not only do you have to worry about like how you play the game, but then you have to play like what's my pecking order. You know, and
I feel like it was kind of similar with like the Valorant team, like early, like where we had Nitro and you know, like
Steel,
like you had
and
Steel, and then the button heads and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of weird, and we saw, even while the team was doing well, I mean, we had a really good run in Reykjavik, and then they got rid of Steel, you know, and so there was something clearly happening where, hey, we need to break this up. We need to go in a different direction, and it's a hard call to make. So,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think like Envoy for me was the most like, I don't know how this is gonna go player. Which is weird, because I actually expected it to be Octane, because I knew he's always been good, but then he sat in Seattle for a couple of years. Like, I don't know, it just kind of probably sucks the life out of you to be doing stuff like that. Like, I know like how I felt professionally in a job where, you know, I felt like I was rotting a bit.
Yeah.
And how difficult it is to kind of shake that and get into something different. And so I thought maybe I would have question marks about Octane. But it really was like Envoy, where I was like, yeah, I'm having trouble picturing how this is going to go. And he seems to have found his groove. over the last couple of majors as being that guy who just like makes really good reads and kind of changes the tone and the feel of a round with like a creative decision. You know what I mean? So, and the dude can heat up as well, and the shots can come in. So, been really happy with him. What about, you know what? Actually, I'll save that for later. I did want to make a kind of a sub comment because we were talking about when Shane came on. Yep. And Harry in chat pointed out that he had been trialing with LA Thieves for like a month or so before they actually brought him in. And I referenced it was May 26th when he came in. I actually pulled that from a Reddit post. And do you know what? Here's the stats on the Reddit post. It's got 100 upvotes, which is cool, I guess. Four comments that are not 100 Thieves staff, right? It's one person saying excited to see what they can pull together. One saying welcome Shane. One says we can't wait to see what he'll bring to the team. And that was actually AT&T's official account. So doing a little partner support there with one upvote from AT&T, by the way. And then the last one, man like Shane, hold tight, Team Validus. So it was basically like an unheralded thing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, like no one seems to like have any strong reactions to it yet. Look how transformative it was in the end.
He obviously had a lot of impact. I feel like during that time, like I think he's from the UK or somewhere not in America, but I feel like that must have been really hard to like actually feel the impact from that far away. You know, like just through like Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever they use.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something different about being there in person, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really feel what they're saying as well as like, you know, seeing facial reactions and stuff.
Yeah. Did you say you were watching since 2019, since Black Ops 4?
Yeah, I started like I'm not really a big COD player, but like I really enjoy esports.
Right.
But I've been watching since Black Ops 4, yeah.
Yeah, so you're with me on that. What do you think about this game coming up? Like, do you think because it felt to me we got to a place with Vanguard where, you know, and I think Capri Sun said something like this, like the game kind of is rough and sucks or whatever in a lot of people's opinion, and yet it ended up being pretty exciting viewing by the last, you know, half of the season, the second half of the season. I don't know. Is it just winning by like us winning makes me feel like it's more exciting, or did you have any feelings about how the game played?
I mean, like from what friends told me, the game was okay. I mean, if you ask me, like this game that we're on right now is the best of all time because we won. You know? So
yeah, I like it.
But as far as the next title goes, I mean, I'm sure that we could bring something together. I mean, we were looking like one of the worst teams in the league at one point. It felt like I'm sure it's not correct, but like it felt that way, you know, because we're not in the top.
It did feel that way. Yeah, it felt like we had some significant problems, but I myself, like I feel optimistic about the direction that the game will go, and I think like if our boys were able to like win with how difficult the situation was this year, I'm actually more optimistic for the following year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Modern Warfare 2 is like, and just like, you know, just like is normal for them, they put out a trailer for the trailer. So I guess, you know, soon we'll get a better look at the game, but I sure hope it's a better experience for the pros so that we don't have to like hear them complain about it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if the pros are enjoying it, like that's going to make the fans enjoy it even more.
Yeah.
You know, getting like some entertainment out of people being up on the stage.
Yeah, and I do think like league wise, it seems like the entertainment value went up throughout the course of the year, and so there's like more teams and more personalities that seem like they're relevant than at the beginning of the year, you know. So it's just
I would definitely agree.
Just more dynamic now, which is always a good sign. So, all right, anything else you want to get to before we let you go?
Can I just shout out some people quick?
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out John Robinson. Shout out Oak Boys. My one boy who's the biggest 100T fan I know, Johnny. My other friend who's an Optic fan, and I mean he cheered for us today, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's
friend Jared. Happy birthday. That's it.
Cool. And just regarding optics, as you brought it up, Greenwall is something else, man. I got so much respect for them. It's just, yeah, I'm sorry it didn't come together for them and that they didn't end up performing better, but like those fans, they are dedicated, and I think that makes a huge difference. So I hope our fandom can build a legend similar to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody wanted the Optic Thieves final after we made it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been absolutely nuts. It would have been crazy to see who the crowd would have rooted for.
Yeah.
Considering it was in LA, but Optic is literally everywhere.
Well, unfortunately for them, we called our shot and delivered on it with the overrated thing. So, but I have no doubt they'll continue to be relevant, and that's a good thing. Big relevant fan base. So, all right, cool. Well, we will say goodbye. Thanks again for calling in, and look forward to continuing to see you in the streams and on chat and all that. So enjoy the dub, and we'll see you next time.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I am not 100% sure our next caller is ready. Let me check in with him really quick. I'll bring him in to see if his mic's on, because we're going to go to Element next. Element, are you here with us? Give him a sec.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You ready to go?
Unmute some stuff real quick.
No problem. No problem. I understand. Well, welcome. What do you want to bring up here we can revel in the victory together, or we can talk about something specific, whatever you want to do.
Well, right now I just want to revel. So let me just get a few things off my chest first.
Let's go. Off.
Hey, yeah. First off, obviously shout out to Nade and Muddawg and JKap especially because I don't need to tell you that, but they were getting so much criticism. Like Nate said, friendship org, also their nonsense. They don't really care about winning. When it's saying Nate doesn't care about winning is like the dumbest thing ever. Like, I mean, I've been a fan of his since I started watching Combat and Black Ops 2. Like this,
yeah.
I mean, like literally after the 2015 champs, he got like so much anxiety from the way he played. Like he stepped down because it was just too much. So I'm like,
yeah, poor guy, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, like it was probably for the best, but obviously it was actually in hindsight. But yeah, no, I just want to say, like, to say they didn't care about winning was always stupid. I will admit I was always a critic of Caps. I will kind of definitely happily eat crow on that one. I always kind of thought, obviously we're not in the room, so I can't be like, I know for sure this case that was the case, but I thought the team, they had the talent, and you saw it even early on in majors like 1 and 2, like. Some guys will pop off, like Octane would pop off, have a good game. Kenny on the AR would sometimes do it. Envoy not so much, but Drazah would. But they didn't really seem to play together very well. That's what I'm thinking that was more of a coaching issue. But Shane, they obviously were grinding. They brought in Shane, and then this team. I mean, this is like literally the best COD in terms of teamwork I've probably seen in my life. And maybe I'm biased, but genuinely, like in terms of team play, that's the best I've seen, I think.
Yeah. What do you? So specifically with that. Which map from this run would you point to? You think it's the Optic hard point?
Yeah, like not just
like the best COD we play.
Yeah, the Optic hard point, but also I would say the phase, the Gavutu at phase as well, map 2.
Yeah, they were virtually the same, really... right? 58 points for Optic, 71 for phase.
Yeah, they were. But the thing with Optic is I think Optic, they kind of got smacked in the face like in the first 2 seconds, and it was kind of downhill from there.
Yeah.
But with phase actually came out strong. It was like 60 to like 11. Like they came out strong, but the way the guys like regrouped, their nade usage is like top tier, especially on Gavutu, Berlin as well.
Yeah.
Nade usage is top tier. The way they like the way they play their lives. I think Envoy, can't remember if Envoy or Octane said it in the stream, but they said the way they value, I think it was Octane, the way they value and play their lives is better than any team. Because and I do agree in the game. I've seen so many times, especially Envoy, he'll look like he'll go for something, and then he'll see like, oh shoot, there's like 2 of them here. I could go challenge, get killed, and get nothing. But then he's like, no, I'll back down. My teammates will call out, my ARs will look over me. Yeah. Difference between him and Shotzi as well. Shotzi would just run around sprinting at 120 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best. He's one of the most talented players in the game. Don't get me wrong, but
you gotta not just run, but run with a plan and be able to change that plan if you need to.
Exactly, and I think he'll be better in Modern Warfare if it plays like the other one did, MW2. But in general, like the game like this, and this is, I don't mean to ramp. This is also going to bring into my second point.
No, go for it.
How everyone says, I hate how everyone says, this game didn't have skill, or this game was like the skill is COD, anyone can win in it. I'm like, the problem isn't the COD didn't have skill. It's not a good game, but the issue is it didn't, it wasn't that it was easy. It was just that it took so long for any team to master the meta, and that team was us. Because nade usage, playing your life, trading effectively. Those things are things that sound simple, but when you look at games, how many teams actually did that? Let me ask you, how many teams did you see like that had nade usage on point like Thieves did, that played their lives, that just played as a team?
Yeah, it was a thing that like even the casters were pointing out while we weren't playing quite as well, they still like pointed to that kind of thing for us, like, hey, look how like thoughtful this is and how planned it is. So kind of like waiting for it to come together at the right moment, and it did.
Exactly, and to the comms are key too. Like when you listen in, Octane, and that's even the one thing I would say when Octane was getting kind of crapped on, like the first couple stages. I was never a proponent of dropping his, because when you listen to the team, he is clearly the in-game leader there. Like he's making the call outs. He's saying, "Hey team, let's do this, let's do that." Mm-hmm. It's not just saying, "Oh hey," because you listen to teams that are like, "Hey, one guy's over here, one guy's over there." He's calling out where people are, and then strategizing a plan about how to take this out. Like, hey, let's hit through broken. Let's do this. Let's do that. And just having an overall strategy of how to attack, especially in control. That in hardpoint, that's why they're so good in those two modes. But
yeah, if you don't mind, 1 second. Yeah, it's cool that you bring that up, because something I noticed over the course of the year is when they did the listen-ins, like the live listen-ins to the comms, it was like even when we weren't winning, it's like every time they went to us, they pointed out like how much cleaner and concise the comms were, and how like well organized it was, and they would contrast it against the other teams that were kind of just like more chaotic and more frantic. And like, I don't know, it's maybe that was kind of like this gives the wrong connotation, but kind of like a canary in the coal mine situation where it's like, hey, actually like, the potential is there, because they've got these like other like really important team fundamental things a lot tighter than some of the other teams have. So, maybe if I was smarter, exactly, I would have been seeing that as like, oh yeah, it's just a matter of time.
No, listen. I'm saying all this, but never in my wildest dreams that I think we would not only win the major but also win champs. Like, let me not act like I was like Nostradamus or something out here. But what I will say is, you did see that. That's why I was always frustrated about the results, especially in the online stuff, which hindsight it's online. But I was frustrated about that. But I was never like dropping a player. I was maybe open to getting rid of Cap at first, but I never want to drop a player, because I was like, listen, until like we're at the end of the year and I'm just convinced like these guys are just, or at least someone of this team just garbage. Okay, then we can consider it. But until then, I want to keep it, because like I said, I heard the comms, they all seem to be at points going off, but it wasn't a unit. But when they brought Shane in, and he must really have unlocked something, not to take away from Cap, but everyone, Octane, all of them are giving him a lot of credit. So yeah, I definitely think he deserves a lot.
Right. And I'm going to add something to this. And by adding it, I don't mean in any way to take away from Shane or even Cap. But I just want to like make sure this is a part of the conversation too, because I will say that somebody internally had told me that like one of the things that people are overlooking from the outside perspective, like, if you're a fan and you're sitting there like, why isn't this like talented roster coming together, whatever. It's like, all the pros will like learn the game at different rates, and they still need time. It's like, yeah, they're pros and they're pros at Call of Duty, but every game is different. It has a different flavor, has different mechanics, and the players adapt to those at different rates. And you can adapt to one, like, Kenny to World War II faster, or Kenny to Vanguard slower, right? Like it just depends on the situation. And sometimes as fans, we forget that these aren't like machines that are just programmed to play Call of Duty to the best of their ability. It's like, it's actually like, oh, there's a learning process, there's a development process, and that's going to be different for each person, each team, each game, So when we're doling out credit, which we should, by the way, like you said, to Shane, to JKap, to the players, we should especially not overlook that player portion where it's like, yeah, they were still studying. They were still, learning and getting better at it. And they eventually were able to unlock their talent. And that is like attributed to their grinding and their humility too, to be able to take the coaching and stuff. So, it's just like a hard win by everybody involved, and so I want everybody to get credit for it.
No, yeah, you were 100% right on that one, because like I was saying in terms of the whole no skill gap or whatever. Like by the end, you saw the cream was rising to the crop. Like we were obviously the best team. I'd say FaZe was obviously number 2, but you saw NYSL was getting better. They were kind of figuring out their thing. You saw Optic was kind of middling, but I feel like they were. I feel like if this was another year on Vanguard, I do feel like they probably would win one more event just because of the talent. I do think they would eventually get it, kind of really get the game together. But you kind of saw like how where it was going. But like you said, now we're starting a whole new game. Modern Warfare 2, I think will probably be around for 2 years, so I guess we'll see a little bit more consistency there.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, I feel like that's going to change the whole paradigm.
It definitely will.
Because what if you're halfway through the first season and you're like, look, our team is not gelling, like we don't seem to be understanding this game. This game is going to be there again, the following year. So is it worth like cutting ties and be like, all right, well, these players just like aren't as cohesive with this game. Let's pick someone else up now so that we can be ready for next year. Or is it do the LA Thieves thing and like stick around and be like, no, we got trust, give them time, they'll do it. I think it's gonna be like a very big paradigm shift.
Oh no, you're 100% right on that one, because and honestly, me personally, I'm always in favor of like the latter, because obviously the first two seasons we've had in the CDL have been like completely like paradoxical. The first one, there was people in and out every like 2 days, and this person, that person,
dude. Yes,
it was crazy. It was like Drazah was on the bench, and he came in. Venom was in and out. TJ, I think, got benched like 5 different times and brought it in. We had temp for a minute, so it was crazy. But this one, they learned their lesson. They're like, you know what, we're just riding with this roster. We paid them all in the offseason. We have the star players. We think they gel well together. We're just going to leave them alone and let them ride out the whole year. I think even if they don't win Major 2, like they're not going to make a change right before champs. They're Major 4, excuse me.
Yeah.
They're not going to make a change right before champs. They were going to ride out the whole year with that roster. So and I think that's usually the better way of going about it. Like don't look back and never have any regrets. Like if we just give one more event, or just brought in one more coach or analyst, maybe we could have gotten together. Just give them time, let them ride out, and if by the end of the year, then it doesn't work out, okay, we'll switch it for the next game. But I do think teams tend to be more short-sighted. So that's why they make changes so abruptly.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the ways we're starting to differentiate ourselves across esports, right? Because you look at the LCS team, they've been together as a squad by far the longest. And they're doing great. I believe even the Apex team has been together for a long time. And it seems like the Valorant team is like a long-term project, that they believe in, and they're not pressuring right now. So yeah, maybe that's like the way to differentiate ourselves is not to be too reactive and to trust the process,
Yeah, and same thing with team sports. I don't know if you watch like football or basketball.
Oh yeah,
sports, but
huge on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm huge too. I was back in football. Obviously, I'm a Seahawks fan. In football,
second Seahawks fan of the night. That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Well, hey, shout out to whoever that other guy was. I don't know who it was, but shout out to him. But yeah, no, we had Pete Carroll back in like 2010. And I don't mean to derail us up, so I'll be quick about this. But he had 2 losing seasons. But then we gave him time, and obviously we went up winning a Super Bowl and having a lot of success. So it just goes to show, whether it's esports or traditional sports, you got to give these people time.
Yeah, especially, and I mean, more on the Pete Carroll example. I mean, that was a guy who was brought in for his reputation on how he handles players, right? And that's playing the long game, right? It's like, yeah, no, he's going to be a personality manager. He's going to get these guys to buy in, and it eventually worked for them. So. Big plus on the foresight there. Even though he was a white hot college coach too when they brought him in.
He was, but he also kind of faded away in the first stint. So a lot of people didn't really kind of believe in him. I guess similar to some of these players on this roster.
Every coach going from college to pro does that, So yeah,
at least once, right? I know, right? But but I'm just like super proud of the team, because like JKap was saying actually in Major 4, he was like, you heard all this stuff, like, like Octane, oh no, he can't win anymore. And, Envoy, like you said, 5v5 player, route player, he can't do this, can't do that. Kenny, when he first switched this sub, like the first 2 weeks was rough. He's washed. He can't run the sub. He just needs to be dropped. I feel like he actually got the most criticism, I would say, of anyone throughout the
He
year.
did get a lot, yeah.
Yeah, because when he was an AR, like he was kind of frying most of the time, but then the team wasn't winning, and then when he switched him to the sub, he was not doing too well at first. So
and it seemed like he was so excited about the sub switch, and so for it to not go well, it's like, oh,
But give him time. Like, man, been running an AR. You really think he could be able to compete with like Simp and Abizi, like Hydra, like day one? Like, come on.
Yeah, take some
after
time.
running an AR for like 2 years, but
right.
But yeah, so that's why I just wanted to kind of just shout out the team and come on and just give them the praise that they do, and that seems like some people aren't doing it at the moment because there's a lot of drama going on right now that I'm not going to get into.
Oh, man.
But I'm just focused on the team right now and what they accomplished.
Yeah, I think I've got all these like tweets stuff pulled up. I'll probably still have to go through them before I end the stream. But yeah, that'll be an interesting part of the conversation. But I like your approach.
Yeah, the one piece of the drama though I will touch on because this relates to the game is that like FaZe fans were saying, they spoiled the views. I'm like, they spoiled.
It happened. Yeah, it was right before that. It was right before. It is almost back to back that happened. It's like, come on, guys. It happened on both sides.
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm like, don't complain about that when the FaZe fans did the exact same thing. Like, come on now, people. Let's like you're too good of a team to be like crying and complaining about stuff like that.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, anything else you want to say or shout out before you go?
No one to shout out, nothing to shout out, but the organization, shout out to Nadeshot, for sticking with it. Again, like I said, Muddawg, obviously the players, JKap, just shout out them and shout out your channel as well. Just for some reason, I kind of got you on my YouTube notification that you were live. I was like, let me
cool.
check this out. It seemed to be like seemed to be a pretty cool guy, so I subbed it. And,
thank you. That's what's up. I love that. Yeah, we it's like I said earlier, it's kind of a small community and stuff, so it's really nice to mix it up with some people who have not been around quite as long. So
definitely. Cool. But yeah, I'll let you get someone else on. But like I said, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. All right, enjoy the conversation. All right, take care.
You too, man. See you.
Wow, you hear that? As Crockpot said, a rare YouTube viewer. We love that. I was actually usually what I do in YouTube is I have the chat up while we're streaming. And anytime I see someone chat in YouTube, I'll just suggest that they move over to Twitch. It's like, everybody's on Twitch. Come talk to us here. So kind of funny. All right, let's bring in our next one. We have a long-time viewer, Fate Cloud. What's up?
Been good. Been excited all day after I saw what happened.
That's right. Looking forward to this, man. So, lay it on me. How are you feeling? You got a take? You just want to talk about it? What's going on?
A little bit on Octane when he brought up that he was going to be thinking about retirement this year until they won the fourth.
Yeah, right.
That hit different just because I don't know if you watched him when he played in Seattle at all.
Yeah, I did. It was so sad.
Did you see the tweets and did you see his streams when he was posting throughout that whole first year?
I saw. Oh, excuse me. Ow. I saw the tweets. I did not watch his streams though. But yeah, I remember it was dark.
Yeah, he was happy when he was streaming, but when he was ending it, you could tell like he did not want to end streaming at all. It kind of reminded me of like how Enable switched over from playing to streaming. So I was like, don't tell me this man's gonna think about doing a career of streaming.
Yeah.
And then second year came, I was hoping he was gonna leave, and then they said, oh no, there's that 1 extra year contract. So you know how he felt about that. Yeah,
and that's like imagine, if things are shaken out differently, or if you just made a different decision or whatever. Oh, it's like it's like big alternate universe branch right there.
Exactly. And then I think he really didn't like his coach at all. I remember correctly, he had a few tweets where he had some very choicey words for him every time.
Dude, it was wild. It was just out there in the open. I'm just not used to seeing it like that,
And he doesn't normally post like that. He's usually like calm, quiet, or just making fun of his own teammates just for fun. But just seeing that, I was like, yo, he feels like he's in prison. He wants to get out.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad we broke him out then. Jeez. But what an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they just kept him that whole time when it was clearly like an unhappy situation.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to say like, no, we'll make you a star roster player and we'll win it and all this. And nah, what's funny is when he said when he came to LAN, in 2019, and he went from a negative to a 1.90 in the first match. That's when he said like, "Oh, I can still beam. I'm still the turret."
Yeah.
That made me like, yeah, he did not lose any of it.
Right. Yeah. Still got it, and that's good. It was actually interesting. So I brought this up earlier, I think, but my brother, who's traditionally not like an esports guy at all, but he was been watching LA Thieves this year and like got into it, and he's like mentioned Octane like a bunch, like about him being a turret, and like actually, Octane's like pretty clutch, man. Like he's doing a lot, and he's not really getting as much credit for it. So I've always had my eye on that because my brother keeps calling it out, but I do think like he's such like a steady presence for us. And I think, like we talked about earlier, the way that he is so happy to play specifically for our franchise, I think like there's going to be no way to get a better value out of him than him being on LA Thieves,
Oh yeah. Speaking of, that reminds me the same similarity to Someday, like consistent, going through. He gives me that vibe that he's just like that. That's what I get from him every time I see him play. I'm like, oh, he's gonna get that clutch. Yep. This is crazy.
And yeah, that's an interesting comparison too, especially because Someday having maybe his best year for the org right now, even after being here for so long and going through so much. So maybe the ones who are mentally strong enough to get through the rough years are just like built different.
Oh yeah, and look, they both got rings now.
Let's go. Someday about to get another one too.
I'm hoping for that, and I want. Did you see what they said immediately when they saw EG lost? I think I think they might be.
You mean on the desk?
They didn't bring it up on the desk, but people started whispering, saying like, "Do you think they're gonna start changing Inspire because he didn't have a good game and Sunday played better?" So I'm like,
we'll
it's
see. Not gonna happen. That
I know.
It should, but
funny.
They're not. Inspire's got like he's had a great year, but he's just getting too much credit, and like you can't simultaneously talk about how, like everybody on that team is so good, like the way they do all the time, and like then just roll the dice and pick one for who's going to be MVP. I don't know. I don't want to get into that here, but
yeah next time on that.
I definitely know what you're saying. So, how do you've been a very long term 100 Thieves fan, right?
Yeah, since the beginning. Once you guys came in, I was like, oh, you guys all know who Afro, Probably, and all these guys were. And I'm like, let's see how they talk about them. I'm like, oh, not bad. And
right, because we were coming in fresh without any history.
So like, I was a big fan of Someday when he was Dig, and he literally dominated when he came in. And then Afro Mu, I was right there when him and Who he won their championship. So I was more of a fan of players rather than teams. And then when Nadeshot came in, I'm like, well, I'm a fan of Nadeshot from back in the day. Oh, he's making a team. Oh, he's built. That's how I became more like, okay, this is my team from now on.
That's actually where I was going with this. So I was going to ask you about that, like if you had a connection to Nadeshot, and if you did, which obviously you do. How does it feel like watching him go through this? Seeing him up on stage making the speeches and stuff like how what's that like for somebody who's been following Nadeshot for a really long time? Because as you mentioned, and I'll just restate it again so that chat's clear. Jordan and I, we did not watch any like esports basically before the 2018 LCS season started with 100 Thieves. Like that was our introduction to the whole scene, so we knew the history of Nadeshot because like, following the org, we got to know that, but we didn't watch him. We weren't there, we weren't there for like the Optic House and everything. So it's always interesting to hear for people who were, how they're feeling about seeing the success come to him.
It's a big relief as well as very much excited for him, just because thinking of what he went through. He won X Games, he won championships. It's just he could never get the ring, and fans of the Green Wall, good and bad, criticize him for the HBR incident, criticize him for like not being consistent at certain times when they had before the Dynasty team came out. So it's like he was pretty much like an example of Drazah or anyone else, but with pedigree involved. So it's like and then they also criticize him like, oh, you would be better if you didn't do any streaming type of content or vlogging. And that's why they keep getting mad at him when he did that with Scum.
Yeah. And obviously he was proven right in the long term. Actually, since we're talking about him, do you mind if I bring up a tweet really quick? Because I pulled this based on an earlier conversation, but Nadeshot tweeted this earlier. He said, I honestly can't even begin to explain how much this championship means to me personally. I could never get the job done myself, and I'm just unbelievably grateful to be a part of an organization and family that could deliver a world championship. It's a dream come true. And like, I don't know. He has, how can I say this like the right way? He has always come off as very like sincere to me, like sincere in his like love for this and like in his desire to do things the right way, when it's very easy for someone in his position to not come off that way. Does that make sense? It's like, and not to dump on FaZe because, we just beat him or whatever, but it's like I don't always feel the same way about the FaZe guys as I do about Nadeshot when it comes to like, the sincerity and everything. So
I think it pretty much does with the way Nadeshot said he wanted to build a culture. It was going to be built around team, the foundation of the whole like company, everybody involved. FaZe kind of when they came out, they were straight up S&D players, like really good ones, and they just got a big rally of players that formed into what they are today. So it's kind of like a rowdy / hype type of people, good and bad, depending on who you watch.
Yeah, like it can be a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah, like if you watch Zuma, he is probably one of the better people to see. But they're I'd take Octane over them any day in terms of a franchise.
Yeah.
Oh god.
There's so much history there. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, honestly, that's part of the reason why I'm so happy is because, like, I don't know, like Nadeshot deserves so much based on like what he meant to the development of the scene, and I can't say this enough how easy it might have been for, sorry that my wife is printing some things off. It could have been so easy for this like creator led org to just waste a bunch of money and suck. You know what I mean? But it's like, instead they've run the business the right way. They built the culture the right way, and they've won the right way. And it's just like, that's a jackpot,
Yeah, from what I've seen, I think you can give a big credit to his big brother Hex, because he got to see a man who did what he's doing right now, build a team, win championships, have a big following. Nadeshot got to be groomed into that mindset, leaving and then going like, you know what, I'm going to do what he did, and then does it now.
Yeah, and Hex being a believer in him and, and the way that he wanted to be in the scene, so that's a big deal for sure. So
yeah, so
all right, anything else you want to bring up before we say goodbye?
Just shout out to Elgato for the
there
quality
we go.
we're getting now.
Let's go.
Shout out to Rip It, and then shout out to the 100T podcast. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thanks for being here. We always appreciate you.
All right, later.
All right, see you later. All right, we have one more. I'm gonna check and just make sure he's ready to go. So you just let me know, Fusion, when you're ready. While we wait for that, we can take a look at a couple things. Actually, he just texted me. Okay, cool. He's ready to go. So we'll do Fusion, and then we'll go over a few things, and we'll wrap up the stream. So let me welcome Fusion in. And Fusion, did you just find us? Is this like a brand new thing for you?
I was just going through Twitch and found this.
Randomly, that's what's up. Cool, man. Well, welcome. It's nice to have someone brand new. Or were you so you big COD fan basically? You were like looking at the COD streams?
Yeah, I've been watching for a long time. Started actually watching an MW2. Started competing amateur wise back in Modern Warfare 3. So I've been
you've been an amateur
around for a while.
That's what's up. So you're gonna be very disappointed if you ever like see me actually play COD. You'll be like, wow, this dude sucks. He should not be on the air.
Hey, I've had some bad games too.
Yeah, not as bad as mine, I promise. Anyway, so do you are you like mainly a 100 Thieves fan? Are you an Optic 100 Thieves guy, or like what's your story as far as like what you're a fan of?
I mean, until franchising, I wasn't really a fan of anyone, just like the competition. More so a fan of just storylines.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ever since franchise, just because like geographically, I went with FaZe because I'm in Georgia, so
Yeah, it makes sense.
that's just who I rooted for.
That's actually cool to hear because honestly, like a lot of the times when we're talking about franchising and geolocation, I feel like people don't really usually make the decision based on geography. It seems like people who have been in the scene for a long time, it's like, yeah, they're gonna pick Optic or FaZe or 100 Thieves, and then everybody else, like maybe if their favorite players go to those orgs, they'll become fans or whatever. So it's interesting to hear from someone who is like, yeah, no, actually I'm close to Atlanta, so let's go FaZe. You know, that's kind of cool. I think like the league wants that, obviously, or else they wouldn't have pushed geolocation so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it would be for someone if they were in California or somewhere on the West Coast and season 1 is like, do I pick the Optic that's not really Optic, or do I go with this?
Yeah.
These new owners that came in from Overwatch and they probably don't know what they're doing, you know? So
Right. So look, I have actually a question I want to ask you about, but first, before we do that, did you have a specific like take or question or something you wanted to talk about?
I got a few topics, but
let's jump into yours first. I'll hold on to mine.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of go back to like the whole like the JKap slack he's been given. I mean, coaches only get so much oversight, especially when you have someone controlling the roster to a perspective on top of that with Muddawg.
Yeah.
And I think what's really making these franchise teams great is you look at who these coaches are and their history. I mean, you look at replays of JKap, they won COD champs and Advanced Warfare, and that was a whole new entity to COD at every perspective across the board with jetpacks.
Yeah, right.
And I think it really comes down to these top level coaches and their adaptability with new COD, because we're still on a 1-year cycle. Maybe that could be changing soon.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
it sounds like the next one they're planning on making it stick for a bit. So that would be really weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something I want to point out. Like, coaches get slack here and there, but if you go back and look at their history as players, that's making these teams stand out.
Yeah. And I think like it can be easy to forget about the story and the history of, you know, the person when it's like, I mentioned it before. There's not much of a window into the behind the scenes on some of these things, you know, and maybe like people who are used to seeing a lot of that, they start to be like, well, like I can't see him doing this, so how do I know he's making a difference, right? Do you have so in your experience with like amateur and stuff, did you actually have a coach or did you have a player coach situation?
No, not really. Just playing.
Yeah, just playing a bunch. Yeah, I was gonna ask, you know, to see if you had ever worked with someone and what that was like to have them kind of like criticizing your game and doing strats and stuff like that. But player led stuff is is a little bit more streamlined. It's a good way to go. You with JKap, so you come down as like as like an always a believer kind of person with him.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. We're still really early in franchising, and 100 Thieves wasn't here the first season, so I think as time goes on, we'll know more.
That's, you know, that's very smart, right? I think like we're all eager to figure out who's the best at this
personally,
and everything. But yeah, it's a long
I didn't mean
game.
to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. It's a long game though. It's all I'm saying. Like you got to look at it over the years, and we're so used to not doing that in esports.
Right.
Yeah. You and it's okay. So you mentioned JKap. Did you said you had a couple other things you wanted to bring up?
Yeah. I know, like back in the day, we went back and forth between the soundproof headphones and soundproof booths. I know it's always been an ongoing issue for a long time with the crowds and ninja diffusing and other small situations that make a big difference. I feel like these org owners or people across the scene need to address that issue more. Yeah, because here we are in 2022 with who knows how much money is going into this, and it's still an issue.
Right, and we saw.
I'm glad it
two
played out
times.
fairly though today.
Yeah,
As long
exactly
as it-
right.
Fair.
Each team had one happen, whereas like before, I mean, even with 100 Thieves, I think during Major 4, maybe in the first Subliners game, I think it was, we had a Ninja Diffuse called out by the crowd, and like we didn't get that one back. You know.
Yeah, and like I mean, event staff can only do so much, but if it's so many people saying it, how can you know who's causing it and who to kick out? That's impossible.
Plus, I'm not gonna lie,
I
as
don't
a
know what
fan,
the
it's like, how do you
solution is
not?
there.
Yeah, and how do you not react as a fan, like in there? You know, like I know, like even if I'm not trying to make a difference one way or the other, if I see like the other team ninja diffusing on my team and I'm there in the arena, I might be like, oh my, like I'll like be probably just saying something out loud as like a reaction. I don't even know how I could control it, and then maybe I would want to call it out anyway because I want my team to win. So it's like a really difficult situation. I don't know what you do about that.
I mean, I'm not really big on like Valorant or CS:GO, but like, is that generally an issue in those titles? I wouldn't know.
From what I understand, no. And like I know more about League of Legends, where the players basically say they can like feel vibrations on the desk when the crowd's going crazy, and they can like kind of hear a muffled noise, but they're for the most part they just block everything out, and they're not really hearing the crowd being an issue. It's kind of just something that happened. And I think like in those games and Crockpot's calling out CSGO, yeah, that may be different. But like for a game like League of Legends, you don't have so many opportunities to make like a sneaky flank play, that might turn the whole thing. And if that play is being made, the observer may not even show it. So there's that aspect of it. And then there's the other side where it's like, you can put in like noise canceling, custom fitted in-ears, that kind of could eliminate that problem. So it depends on which league rules are happening. But it definitely feels like Call of Duty has the most problems with it from my limited experience.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing with custom molded earpieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get the ones that like literally like fit into your ears, and in addition to doing like active noise canceling, they'll like actually seal off a lot of what you're able to hear. So it's kind of different. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's a way to handle this other than putting the players in a glass box, and I don't think people really like that from how that's gone in past times. So I'm not sure where to come down. I mean, you would have a better opinion of that than I would, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say from experience what that would be like.
What about, can I ask your opinion on like the trash talk in the scene? Because like, I don't, did you see what was like going on between like Drazah and Simp today on Twitter?
I did, and I saw a few replies from the community.
Yeah. So as someone who's
people
played
seem to have an understanding that like Drazah's not the nicest person. I can't really speak on that personally because I don't know.
Sure,
but that's
right.
just what I was seeing.
Yeah. And so, in the events that you've done, like, even on an amateur level or whatever, like Call of Duty seems to be kind of known for very passionate banter, we'll say. Right. And like clips from amateur LANs and stuff, like they'll go viral with like the trash talk between them, and people seem to love it. I can't, as someone who's not that into the scene, from like not enough to really like weigh in on the banner thing, but it just seems weird to me. It seems inconsistent for people to get so upset about like Drazah today versus like what I seem to always see between players when they're like, calling each other obscene words that I won't say on stream because we don't have an expletive thing on our stream, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it seems like that's pretty par for the course. So I don't know why people are that bent out of shape over what Drazah's been doing today, and I didn't know if you had an opinion on that. Like, hey, they're doing too much, banner is fine. Or you think maybe Drazah is actually out of line.
I mean, I don't really see a reason for it. It's out of line in my eyes to a degree, but if his intentions were just normal banter, then maybe he just took it too far and wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
We all say things we don't mean until later on.
Yeah.
But I think most banter should just stay if it's coming across like between someone that got dropped either the season before or recently and they beat the team. I mean, that's how trash starting really started, in my opinion, back in the day before we had the CWL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was. I just thought it was bizarre. Like I respect what you're saying about, you know, maybe it's out of line, but it's like, you know, I can't. I wasn't there for what happened in person today, right? It did look like Drazah stood up and like gave the double birds to FaZe, which is one thing, but you know, on Twitter where it like kind of got a little more out of hand, I guess, you know, he's retweeting like a simp tweet from January where like simp is like going in super hot on him and Kenny, you know? And so it's like, is that big of a deal that he like remembers that and brings it up after he beats simp?
I don't. It's a weird time right now because there's been so many technical difficulties in this game, and they're playing on LAN, but they're still playing online. And like, it's on top of that, it's been a bad game. So the trash talking goes. I feel like there's too much of issues going on in this game, and especially because we're franchised, it's catches more attention because back in the day, I mean, we had so many more teams, so many more players. You would see it nonstop, but
yeah,
we have a set amount of players, and it catches more attention nowadays.
Yeah, it just seems weird to me. Like the again, and I say this as like I'm partially an outsider, right? Because I'm not somebody who's been like watching competitive COD from the beginning, right? I've only been watching since Black Ops 4. And it just seems like the COD community a lot of times prides themselves on like how like intense banter can be and how passionate the players are. And it's like, yeah, that's nothing, whatever. You know, people get heated and say things and it's whatever. And this seems to fly so counter to that reputation, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That there's such a big deal being made just because Drazah's doing this. So, you know, I'm not like an objective observer. I'm not unbiased here. Like I'm clearly on Drazah's side with this, even though I like Simp and I think he's a cracked player. It's just like Simp just seemed to take way too much personal offense for essentially just having his own banter thrown back in his face, right? So I don't know. I hope someone along the way at some point can explain this to me in a way where I feel like, okay, now I understand why the reaction is so strong, you know?
Right. I mean, I don't know why he pulled a tweet back out from when they played in basically at the beginning of the season.
Oh, dude, I do. I would do it. I absolutely would do it. I've got like bookmarked tweets from when like people talk trash. Like I've got it, you know. I get it. I'll pull it out if you talk stuff and then I beat you, you know. So I don't know. We got to pick a side, right? We got to either be like, oh, this is what Call of Duty is, or we got to be like, all right, let's not treat each other that way. But you can't just be back and forth depending on like who you happen to be on the side of, you know. And I don't say you in particular. I mean like the people who are discussing this and reacting to it. So, but at the same time, I acknowledge Drazah's a little bit of a lightning rod for it. So when you have people who do that, like, do you watch like basketball, like NBA?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like if Draymond Green says something, right? That's obviously different than if like a player who never talks says something, right? Like the reaction is going to be different. So, you know, I guess maybe Drazah's like kind of got like a Pat Beverly vibe about the way that he trash talks, but this time he's coming away with a ring. So maybe it's a little different. I don't know. Okay. Do you have any other things you want to go over before we say goodbye?
No, that'll do it.
Cool. Well, thank you for watching tonight and for hopping on. Cause like I said, I just love talking to people, especially when we're in such a good mood cause we're getting dubs. So, appreciate you calling in and I hope you have a good night and enjoy the win. And then, are you still like doing amateur competition?
Oh no, I quit.
You
years
quit?
ago.
Okay, I was gonna say, so continued luck for that. In other terms, I guess I'll just say good luck on the pub stomping.
Oh, I don't really play much either. I just watch for the most part.
All right.
Maybe that'll change if we get a good game.
There we go. There we go. Well, we'll all cross our fingers for a good game. I'll tell you that. All right, man. Thank you for calling in. You have a good night.
You too. Good talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. See ya. That's what's up. That's what's up. It's really fun to talk to a mixture of you guys, like more seasoned 100 talkers, and then people who are seeing our stream for the first time. It's pretty sick. So I appreciate everybody that are calling in. All right. Let's so we talked about the Drazah thing, which I'm cool with. We've brought up maybe like 4 times now that Nadeshot interview that he gave. I actually wanted to watch that on stream. And then there was another one, which maybe not all of you guys saw, that MRAGs did from Barstool. So let's watch both of those really quick and just listen to this. And maybe I'll say a few words along those lines. So let me bring this up here. And then let me know if the sound doesn't come through super well for this. I'll do my best.
Yeah, no, come on, Nate. Come on in. You know I got you. Yes, you can. All right, listen. Everybody, I appreciate the support here. Normally, I take the route of humility. At least I try to. But for everybody that doubted Eric, Muddawg, JKap, Drazah, Envoy, Kenny, Octane, 90% of y'all told us to drop every single one of them. You called us a friendship org. You said that we were keeping the wrong people around. When you believe in people, you gotta trust them, give them time, and that's exactly what they did. So, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but you need to give them their flowers because they deserve it. These guys got more criticism than I've ever seen in competitive Call of Duty history, and they just went back-to-back and won a world championship. So I want to say thank you for everybody that showed out. This is the first time I've ever seen a crowd that was louder than the Optic fan base. We love those guys, but this moment's about LA Thieves. It's about all the employees here, all the creators, and most importantly, the entire coaching staff and players. Thank you guys. All right.
So very interesting, right? Like, again, I do believe what he's saying, right? When he talks about like, I'm normally like going to go the humble route, but you guys need to realize this, you know. I'm glad he called it out, you know. I don't think he went too hard on anybody, but it is like kind of, it forces you to look at how you were thinking about the team. And again, back to back with a world championship, like you cannot argue with that result. Man, it feels like it feels like the rare time where you see like the good approach and the thing that is right be rewarded, because, you know, it seems more and more rare these days that actually happens. And so kudos to him for stepping up and saying that, right? Like he didn't have to talk that way. He doesn't have to say anything, right? He can just watch like the dub, you know, and be happy with it. But he like took the time to make sure that these guys got their recognition and to underscore all of the, you know, all the difficulties they faced along the way from everybody. You know, I remember myself, like, I think, was it after Major 2, maybe after Major 2, somewhere in that neighborhood, where I tweeted something along the lines of like, I think this is just cursed. Like there's no rhyme or reason why this isn't working, but it's not working, and I don't know what you do. And you know, they knew what to do. They figured it out, but I could never explain why it didn't seem to work the way that it felt like it should. And their vision was the answer. So this is the interview that he did with MRAGs from Barstool, kind of along the same lines. So let's watch this one too.
Talking about that trust, you had a lot of trust in your players this year. What gave you that sort of confidence? Did you know it was a special group? Talk to me about that.
Well, that's the thing, man. Players and the way that they interact with each individual title changes, right? Like, you're going to be better at some games than others. But I'll never forget when JKap told me, because we had a rough year of Cold War. We just never got our feet underneath us. He literally said, if I can't win with this roster, I don't deserve to coach LA Thieves. And throughout the entire year, we were so close. We were on the cusp of really making a breakout event, and we would just fall short. And for them, I just think that the flow of practice changed, a switch flipped, Shane came in, and they just started dominating. So you really, like I said on stage, you got to trust your players, because there was a reason why you decided to have them and welcome them to the team. They are good at what they do. Sam, Octane, and Kenny, they literally brought us 2 championships the first year they were with us, and just brought us 2 more. So we knew they were capable. They were just finding the right time, finding the right, strategy, and I think they knocked it out of the park, clearly.
I think so. Yeah. Safe to say the least, right?
It's just everybody wanted us to drop as somebody, you know what I mean? And you got to – I actually normally have a quick trigger, at least when I was playing. If something wasn't working, I'd give up on it pretty easily. And if anything, this team has taught me more about patience and believing in the system that you've instilled. So just all around great moment.
That's high praise, and very well deserved, deservedly so.
He means it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it can be very easy to say things like that and maybe not deliver on like the promise, right, of trusting these people. I mean, we've honestly, with the history of this exact org, we felt like maybe we saw that during the rough LCS years, where there were so many changes, and then the Call of Duty team first year of franchising, same way. But like, I believe this because the actions of Nadeshot, the actions of Muddawg, Maelk, everybody, like, they back up this concept that we're going to have trust, right? And again, the winning follows that, and hopefully this is like a major differentiator for 100 Thieves esports, and that it stays that way. Like, I don't know, I have so much respect for that. And again, it's like, if you're someone like Nadeshot, where you've had like a lot of success on your own, it can be easy to like autopilot this and not always be there and not always care as much. This dude cares so much. This dude wants to win, and his actions back it up, even when they're unpopular. And that's the true sign. That's the true sign that we have somebody at the helm that deserves to be at the helm. Not just him, but like all the staff following suit, So I'm really proud of that. Proud of what he said. Let me look. We are going to have to cut this a little bit shorter than originally. I want to bring this up too. I think a lot of you guys saw this because it was retweeted by the CDL account, maybe, or maybe the Charlie Intel account. But this is from December 2nd of last year. Octane saying, I got told by Nadeshot if we win champs, they'll rebrand the Cash App compound with my face on the outside. See you in grand finals. They have done this before. I think twice they've wrapped the compound. They wrapped it for Attack on Titan. They wrapped it for Tina when Tina came on. So hopefully we get to see this in action. LAF's Cashtane compound has a ring to it. It's kind of awesome. We'll have to see. I hope they do put like his face like all over it. It would be kind of sick. But I wouldn't be mad either if they like put a big mural of all the dudes up there. So we'll have to see. But I get the feeling that they're gonna like be good on that promise. I think like one thing about the org is that they seem to enjoy the celebration. And I don't mean like, oh yeah, like let's go out and party and stuff, even though that clearly happens too. But it seems like they reward the players. They celebrate the victories, and I think it's important to do that. If you want to establish a winning culture, it's like, yeah, give respect, show celebration, like handle those things that way. So yeah, I think we'll get to see something. I did also like this tweet from Jackson, who was there, taking in the scene. We miss Jackson dearly at 100 Thieves, and we know he is still just one of the biggest 100 Thieves esports fans there is. This guy also cares so much about it, you would not believe. So shout out Jackson as always. Of course, when we're giving shout outs, we got to shout out John Robinson as well. And I believe I thought I had this up. There was I think John had a video of them rolling the trophy into the compound. Yeah, here we go. Already. Yo.
Let's go.
And I'll add. Run it up. Okay. Anything else we want to bring up? I think that's probably good. I'm feeling so satisfied with this win. I'm just I don't know. It's a different feeling than when we got our first championship, say in Valorant, when we won the first strike, it was really cool. And I was this felt legitimizing for us. Right. And we had won our Call of Duty championships before that, but this felt different in some way, where it was a second esport where we get a championship in. And I know nowadays, a lot of people don't see First Strike as a true championship, but it was the best players at the time all year for that. So I'm going to count it. And then winning LCS felt different. LCS felt fully no one can deny the org anymore. Right? It was yes, we are to be taken seriously. We are a winning org, in multiple esports. And now that we've brought it back and we've won champs here, it's almost we need to remember as fans is this is what they do. They win. They're going to win something. Every year we're going to pull a championship in something, maybe multiple championships. And I'm just proud to be rooting for a team that wins. I didn't pick this team because it wins. You know what I mean? That's not why I picked them. We picked them because we loved the approach, the brand, the story, and had a belief in the vision, and the wins have followed that. And so that makes me feel super good, because I would be doing this Under Talk stuff regardless of if we were winning or not. You guys know that. You guys saw us stick through LCS coverage in 2019. You know that we're for real with it. But it just feels so good to have picked a team that is going to continue to collect the trophies, So you guys enjoy this and remember that this is what 100 Thieves does. We win. All right. So tomorrow, for those of us for those of you guys who are with us for the first time, every Monday night at 8:30 Central, we do a League of Legends show. So we'll be talking about the 2-0 weekend there. I actually got to go rewatch the C9 VOD. I watched it earlier, but I was just focusing on LA Thieves so much. So I'm going to rewatch that and take some notes, and we'll be ready to have those conversations tomorrow night. And maybe we'll be able to pop some Valorant in there as well. We'll see if we can fit that in, especially as we roll into what now is going to be a lower bracket run to qualify. Can't wait to watch us do that in dramatic fashion as well, and to be going to VCT. It's a good time to be a 100 Thieves fan, and it's a good time to be a 100 Talker as well. So remember this feeling. It's going to come again. Various esports. This org is a winner. We're going to keep winning. Appreciate all you guys for being here. Thanks to especially to all the callers. We had a ton of callers. It's exactly what I hoped for. So thank you for doing that. Please, if you're not already, join our Discord. Come hang out with us there. Talk with us. We're always here. We have a very cool, small, but tight-knit and very active community. So be with us, be a part of it. And we'll be happy to see you in our Discord. So I dropped the link in the chat for you guys. Again, as we always say at the end of our streams, we love you.